Hey, Joe, what's your take on the basketball size controversy from last night?
Whew, yeah. I didn't even know this was a thing. And I think most people didn't realize this was a thing until Duke lost last night and Kara Lawson, Duke's basketball coach, decided to just out of nowhere bring up the fact that in their loss to Florida State on Sunday, she alleges they were using a men's regulation size ball versus a women's regulation size ball.
He realized it was a men's ball. And we had played the first half with a men's ball. We then alerted the table that we needed to change the ball. And the table would not change the ball, but then we alerted the head official to come and look at it. He came and looked at it, and he changed the ball. We then played the second half with a women's ball. It's been very frustrating that at this level of basketball, that a mistake like that happens, that could have impacted the outcome of the game. Let me be clear, Florida State beat us. They beat us playing with a men's ball in the first half and a women's ball in the second half. But I can't say if we'd have played with a women's ball in the first half and the second half that we would have won. But they can't say that either. It's very frustrating that a game that has so many conference implications, selection and seeding implications.
So that's Kara Lawson last night, but she's referencing something that happened on Sunday that none of us knew about until she referenced it. And then at 10:30 this morning, I get an email, just like everybody else on the email listserv from the ACC, statement on the Duke-Florida State women's basketball game. I'm not kidding you when I tell you that I thought this was something that had been hung up in my spam. Like, what? And it reads, upon completion of the game, the conference office was made aware of the allegation and immediately conducted a comprehensive review. This included discussion with all parties involved, including game officials, game administrators, table crew, and both schools. Following the thorough and objective review process, there was no evidence found to support the claim. End quote.
This feels like a Crazy Pills situation.
Yes.
And I'm not trying...
You okay there? No. All right. Well, let's do a little throat clearing break here. It's radio. Live radio, folks. Can't edit this out.
I'm not trying to dismiss her concerns.
Yeah.
Which do seem a little unusual given that Florida State would have had to play with the same
And
ball
she said that
in the first half. But I do find it unusual that it's 2023, and if it happened, I can't imagine there's like this giant cover-up in Tallahassee that if the league office called and said, hey, was there a different ball used in the first half than the second half, that they couldn't discern this.
Yeah.
I also we just need to just Zapruder this thing. Because all you got to do is look at the ball. There's probably a different mark on the men's ball than there is on the women's ball.
Right.
And it's probably a hold, as I understand it, you have a rack of balls and you bring out the rack before the game. I refuse to believe basketball players who are used to using one type of ball.
Thank you.
Wouldn't immediately be at the tip and go, and even the referees wouldn't go, oh, wait, this is the wrong ball.
This is the wrong ball.
I don't understand. But when you listen to the conviction in her voice.
Oh, she believes it.
She certainly believes it.
So here's my point. I'm glad you brought up that basketball players know.
Of course they do.
They know which rims are soft and which rims aren't. They know. They have preferences as to which basketballs they use. Shout out to Brett Strelo.
I was going to say, in Florida State's a Nike school, they almost certainly use a Nike ball.
Yeah.
Just as Duke uses a Nike ball.
Well, my point is, like, our old colleague, Brett Strelo, always had, like, a basketball tracker.
Yes.
Like, oh, this player actually shoots X when he's using a Spalding versus a Nike ball. Those types of things. So players know.
Marcus Page with the Wilson ball, yes.
Shout out. I totally forgot about the Wilson ball. Wilson! Anyway, so what you're telling me is that only Duke noticed this.
That's the part that doesn't make any sense.
And Florida State didn't. So let's take it further. Are you alleging, and I have no problems bringing it forward because with the conviction in her voice, and she talks about, well, they had to play with the same ball too. So are you insinuating that Florida State practiced with a men's ball thinking they were going to get over on you? Is that what the insinuation is?
And to be clear, just in case you're not keeping up with the women's standings, Duke is 9-2 in the league after the loss. Notre Dame's 9-2 in the league. Florida State's 9-3. Carolina's 8-3.
Yeah, no.
So
ACC basketball is wild right now.
It is bunched up at the top of the league. So to her point, it's going to be a fight in Greensboro to get to the right seed and be in the right spot and all that. So those, I'm not questioning her concerns on that front.
Mm-hmm.
What I don't like here is there was a real problem during the pandemic at the NCAA women's tournament. It was clear the women were being treated as second-class citizens. Yes. And by her saying, this would never happen in a men's game, using the wrong ball, well, yes, everyone would be like, it's not the right ball.
And the game would stop. The game would literally stop.
That's the part of it. I don't like that because you're diminishing other arguments when you bring in straw men like this to be like, well, see, this is just like the time at the NCAA tournament where we didn't have a real workout room. No, it's different.
So 2 other points before we move on. Clearly the ACC shut it down.
Yes.
And I'm convinced they only put that statement out there because she got the answer she did not want last night.
Sure.
So she brought it up on her own to make it a thing. So the ACC said, fine, if you're going to put us in that situation, we're just going to hammer it down and say, this did not happen. So somebody's calling somebody else a liar here.
Well, they're calling each other liars. That's what they're doing.
And I don't think the story's over. The other thing that I would point out is that I have not seen any statements from Duke, okay? I haven't seen anything from Nina King, AD at Duke, backing up or saying we support CARE or whatever it is. Think about that, because the last time there was an accusation involving Duke athletics, or at least the women's side of things, they came out real full force on that. Even if they did not find evidence to support the claims, the school still backed the people
totally
up.
different.
I have not seen this here.
Right.
Well,
not in what you're making the point about support.
Support.
I'm saying the severity of the.
No.
Incident.
I'm not trying to equate the two. I'm simply talking about a level of support that your head coach is saying straight up. They made a mistake and they used the wrong ball and that affected us. And I haven't seen a single statement from Duke. I find that interesting.